There probably is no more graphic an illustration of just how bad the coronavirus crisis is hitting India than this. This is a makeshift crematorium. It's actually not meant to exist. This has been set up by the residents around here who cannot cope with the number of dead. Behind me are all the funeral pyres that represent a mother, a father, a daughter, a son, an uncle, a loved one to someone, a friend to someone. Each one of those fires is a coronavirus death. And we have been watching, in just the last few minutes alone, they've been coming in virtually every second. They simply can't cope. And this is not one of the official funeral sites. This is an ad hoc one. One, they're bringing in the wood as we wait to prepare for yet more casualties coming in. And this is on top of the official sites, remember. Many of these people don't feel that they're represented in the country's statistics. They feel, even though India is facing not just a grim spike, it's almost like a consistent wall of coronavirus cases and deaths. They reckon this is just what one economist called the tip of an iceberg, that underneath that terrible grim statistic showing the huge number of cases and possibly the deaths that will follow, there's a much, much bigger, worse case scenario of numbers, who knows how many, who are unaccounted for, who are unlogged as coronavirus casualties, coronavirus cases, coronavirus deaths. We heard in just today, I think it's been very much compounded by the government, the local governments, the local authorities, very much being unprepared to cope with this second surge, of which they had plenty of warning following, as they were a cycle behind many other countries who were suffering their second surge, not least Britain. They instead embarked on a number of political rallies, all of them attracting hundreds, thousands of people. Their vaccine rollout has been a little bit, well, difficult to describe it as anything other than slightly chaotic, although they are vaccinating an awful lot of people. Because this country is so populous, it's actually only a few % of people who are actually vaccinated. And whilst they're still determinedly trying to roll out their vaccination, they haven't prepared for this huge spike and this huge sudden spike, which means that many of the hospitals, particularly in the north of the country, where I am, in New Delhi, the capital, and other areas in the north, they have been left wanting for oxygen. They have been left seeing that there is not enough oxygen supply, which we know is so critical for coronavirus patients. There is, as you can imagine, an awful lot of grief, an awful lot of anger and shock that they've been left in this position. They held a religious festival which attracted something like 10 million devotees. And all those people may well have been super spreaders, or could be infected, or certainly a large number may well have been infected and have been asked to go into isolation. And this is going on 24/7 right now. They are the fires that simply do not stop burning. They're also predicting that the peak has yet to come. It may not come until the middle of May. So these terribly, terribly bad statistics of the number of cases followed by an increasing, slow increase in the number of deaths could well become an awful lot worse.
And Alex, tell us about the reaction from people in India to how slow the government's been in trying to put up an extra infrastructure. I know Prime Minister Modi held a meeting just 2 days ago about the shortage of oxygen in hospitals. Too little, too late, perhaps, for the people there.
Prime Minister Modi himself has been the object of much criticism because he has been an attendant and a leader of many of these political rallies. There are a number of elections going on across India, And as one